In this video, I'm going to show you step by step how to get over any avoidant no matter what you've been through. The information in this video is based on an 8-year relationship with an avoidant and hundreds of hours coaching clients who are struggling with avoidance. This is the exact framework I use to help my clients understand what avoidant attachment style really is, what happened in their relationship, and more importantly, how to break free and get over them. Before we start, in case you didn't notice, I'm an AI character, but the words I'm speaking are written by a real person, an author and a relationship coach who has been through all of this. I grew his Instagram account to more than 50,000 followers, and he has helped hundreds of people either improve their relationship or finally get over their avoidant. You can check more about him in the description below. If you're not comfortable watching an AI character talk for an hour, then this video is not for you. But if you want the value, which I promise to deliver, this is the only video you'll need. We'll cover 7 lessons in this video, no editing or flashy effects. I'll be talking directly to you and use a presentation style to make it easier for you to follow through and take notes. So without further ado, let's get started because we have a lot to cover. Hi and welcome. This is the course that will help you get over your avoidant ex once and for all. No fluff. Now, I know this part of the course is about letting go and moving on, but I want to start it by addressing a part that may and may not be inside of you. The part that wants to get them back. The part that can't stop thinking about them no matter how much you know they're not good for you. And I don't want you to hate this part of yourself. It's driven by one of the strongest forces in your psyche, attachment. But at the same time, I don't want you to be controlled by it. When I started coaching people, I realized that this desire to get them back makes all the difference in the recovery process. If the part of you that wants them back is so strong, you may spend months, if not years, trying to get over them with no success. I'll explain later why you shouldn't want them back and how to detach. But right now, I want you to understand an important fact. Your best bet at getting them back, or even to attract a new partner, is to let go. And I mean fully let go. I surely don't mean letting go where you pretend you don't care about them as a tactic to re-attract them. No. I mean you truly should let them go and move on. Let's say you broke up, but there's a 10% chance you'll get back together. Chasing them and refusing to let go will kill this 10% chance. It will gradually become 0. The only way this 10% chance can become a reality is by letting go. Your old relationship is over, and the only way to start a new relationship, whether with a new person or with your ex, is to fully heal and let go. Now let's make this more practical. I know the feeling that is sitting in your chest right now, heavy and suffocating. You are hurting. You are checking your phone every 5 minutes, hoping for a notification that never comes. You are replaying the last conversation you had with them, analyzing every word, looking for the loophole, the magic combination of words that will make them snap out of it and come back to you. You are exhausted. You want to know how to get them back. This is a version of yourself that nobody will find attractive, especially them. And the first step to destroy it is to look at something your avoidant partner used to weaponize. Let's look at the yes, no, maybe dynamic that has been driving you crazy. Avoidants are famous for this. They keep you in the maybe. Maybe is safe for them. It keeps you on the hook, providing them with validation and a safety net. But it doesn't require them to show up or be vulnerable. They keep you in the house, just not in the same room. Sometimes they say yes, other times they say no, and sometimes they say maybe. And because you love and want to be with them, you hear their no as maybe, and you hear their maybe as yes. This has been a constant pattern in the relationship, and now that it's over, you typically hear their no as maybe, because it's always worked this way in the relationship. This maybe keeps you stuck, and you believe it because it's less painful than the no. But you have to understand that there are only 2 answers, yes or no. And if it's not a yes, then it's a no. And if there's ever hope at getting a yes, then it's by accepting this no. This is where we talk about the backwards law again. But you need to be more extreme here. I am talking about going cold turkey, not as a strategy to win them back, but as a strategy to win yourself back. This sounds poetic, but it's true. You are cutting the supply line. You are taking your energy, which you have been pouring into a black hole, and you are redirecting it back into your own life. This is the only move that restores your dignity. You cannot fake this. And more importantly, you cannot let go while hoping for the best. Let's talk about that. Hope is your enemy. As long as you have hope, you are bargaining. You are waiting. You are putting your life on hold. You are telling yourself, if I just wait a little longer, if I just become more independent, if I just fix myself, they will return. That is a lie your anxiety tells you. That is your shadow child trying to avoid the pain of abandonment. I know I keep saying this over and over again, but you need to accept that it's over. You need to accept that they are not coming back. You need to grieve the death of the relationship. Only then can you actually heal. Secure, independent people are attractive. Desperate, waiting people are not. So by killing the hope of fixing them or getting them back, you become the version of yourself that is actually capable of having a healthy relationship, whether with them or someone else. But you cannot get there if you are still holding a candle in the window for someone who chose to walk into the dark. The more you chase a scared person, the more they run away. And the more you chase a scared person, the more you lose yourself. This isn't a game. This isn't a tactic. This is a detox. Let them go. Kill the hope. Trust that if it's meant for you, it will return without you having to drag it. And if it doesn't return, you saved yourself years of begging for breadcrumbs. Hi, and welcome. This lesson will make many of you uncomfortable, but I'm here to help you, not to tell you what you want to hear. So hear me out and challenge the part of yourself that might resist my words. We need to talk about the movie playing in your head. You know the one. It's the montage of your relationship. The way they looked at you on that first date. The text messages that made your stomach do flips. The moments of intense vulnerability where you thought, finally, they see me. They're the one. You are replaying the highlight reel. You are watching the trailer for a movie that never actually got made. But I am here to make you watch the real movie. The real relationship that, if a friend of yours was in, you would see clearly how unhealthy it was. The real person that wasn't really special or unique. Ask yourself, was the relationship really that special? Or was it actually a cycle of anxiety, confusion, and breadcrumbing? Did you feel secure? Or did you feel like you were constantly auditioning for the role of partner? You are ignoring the dark side of the relationship. You are ignoring the nights you cried yourself to sleep wondering why they changed. You are ignoring the games they played and remembering only the good times. You might be thinking, but they loved me. They told me I was the only one. And then you hesitantly ask yourself, wait, did they actually love me? Before we answer that question, let's reverse it. Do you actually love them? Do you really think they're special or that the connection between you is unique? To answer that, let me share a story with you. It was one of the realizations that shocked me. I read it in a book that I sometimes recommend to those who want to go deeper in the topic. But when I read that and reflected on my relationship, I saw how fear of loss and my wounded ego were the main factors behind my obsessive behavior, not love. Yes, my actions were driven by fear of loss, my wounded ego, and a weird and obsessive desire to win and not be rejected. All the time she ignored and avoided me hurt my ego, especially since she had previously been very intimate with me. I attached a part of my self-esteem to the relationship, so losing it, and her, meant I was unworthy and defective, and I had to prove her, and this voice in my head, wrong. The idea of losing her meant defeat to me, and I'm not the type of guy who gives up or accepts defeat easily. All of these things made me feel a range of different and intense emotions, and I mistook them for love. So whenever I held on to her at times when I shouldn't have, I told myself it was because I loved her so much and that our connection was unique. That wasn't accurate, and it took me a few slaps on my face to learn this. It took me losing her to understand what really getting her meant. After some reflection, I realized that most of my thoughts about her and how I couldn't control them were not because of love. They were out of fear of losing her. And I vividly remembered how many of the actions that I thought were out of love, mainly pursuing her, were motivated by nothing but this crippling fear of loss and my wounded ego. I mistook the intensity of my fears for deep love. Now, I don't mean to say that I didn't or don't love her. I did and I do, but it was only after this realization that I realized that I loved her. I know this may sound confusing, so hear me out. After removing the fear of loss and my hurt ego from the equation, I'd already lost her at the point of learning this. I was able to see the genuine love I had for her. I started to treat her, when we got back together, from this place only, not the place of fear. And let me tell you that love is not obsessive. It's quiet, calm, and empowering. It doesn't include self-abandonment or unnecessary suffering. Not to say it's all a blessing, but when compared to the fear of loss, love is the stable and healthy motivation for being with someone. It will, therefore, create a stable and healthy version of the connection. Fear of loss is also one of the things that will make a person accept so many unacceptable things in relationships. They will allow their partner to treat them like garbage, but won't say or do anything because, well, they are afraid of losing this person who they put on a high pedestal. Love isn't like that. You can love someone, but not let them get away with what they shouldn't get away with. You can love someone and hold them accountable for what they do or don't do. And yes, you can love someone and let them go without obsessive pursuit once you realize either they don't love you or that they will hurt you, aren't meeting your needs, after you give it your all. So what does all of this tell you? They're not really that special. Your feelings and fears are making you view them as special. They're just scared and wounded people who use manipulation to seem attractive and compensate for their insecurities. It is time to see the worm in the apple. They showed you who they were through their inconsistency, their withdrawal, and their inability to meet you halfway. Even if they're good people at heart, that doesn't excuse their hurtful behavior. Believe the behavior, not the potential. You are grieving a person who didn't exist. You are grieving a potential future that was never going to happen. The first step in getting over them is seeing them for who they truly are and taking them off the pedestal you put them in. Watch this video again and again until it sinks. Now, the next step is healing that little part of you that they weaponized against you. Let's talk about that. Welcome back. Let's be honest about something that usually gets glossed over in breakup advice. We can talk about attachment styles and childhood trauma, and we can talk about no contact rules all day long, but there is a burning, heavy sensation sitting right in the center of your chest that those intellectual concepts don't quite touch. And that sensation is the shame of not being chosen. It's a blow to your ego. And before you push back on that word, when I say ego, I don't mean arrogance. I don't mean you're full of yourself. I mean that fragile, protective part of you that constructs your identity based on how much you are loved. It's the childish part of yourself that gets filled with shame when it's not the center of the attention. And if you feel attacked hearing these words, then this is your ego getting defensive. It's okay, because we all have it. It's just secure people have it under control. Because when it's not, others can use it to manipulate you and push your buttons. And this is what avoidants, narcissists, and many, many other manipulators do. Prey on your existing human flaws, such as your ego. When an avoidant partner pulls away, deactivates, and eventually discards the relationship, your ego gets hit. You are sitting there asking yourself the question that keeps you up at 3 a.m. What was wrong with me? If I was just prettier, smarter, calmer, or less demanding, would they have stayed? Today, we are going to dismantle that narrative. We are going to do the heavy lifting of healing your wounded ego, so you can finally accept that being rejected by someone who cannot love properly is not a judgment on your worth. It's a sign of their dysfunction. Let's first look at why the rejection feels so personal. If you were with an avoidant partner, the relationship likely felt like a constant audition. You were performing. You were walking on eggshells, trying to be the perfect partner so you wouldn't trigger their need for space. You suppressed your needs to keep them comfortable. You played the game. The ego hates losing. That's why you try harder when they pull away. That's why the micro losses you take every day in the relationship make you question yourself and then try harder to prove you're worthy. The ego hates that. It hates losing a game it tried so hard to win. And when they leave, your ego screams, I did everything right. I sacrificed everything. How could I still not be enough? That's because the ego hates losing a game it tried so hard to win. And this confirms the ego's worst nightmare, which is the driving force behind its behaviors, that you're not enough, and that you need to earn love and work so hard for approval. This is where we get it wrong. We think that being chosen is a prize that is awarded to the worthiest candidate, forgetting that even narcissists and shitty people get chosen. We think that if they chose someone else, it's because the alternative was better than you, or that you lost the one for you. But here is the cold, hard truth that you need to internalize. People choose based on their own reasons that you know nothing about, and you cannot let someone else's choices dictate your worth. Imagine you're a high-performance Formula One race car. You are complex, powerful, and you require a skilled driver who knows how to handle speed, intimacy, and depth. Now, imagine you try to sell that car to someone who doesn't have a driver's license, someone who is terrified of speed. They are going to look at that car and say, no thanks, this is too much, it's too overwhelming. I'd rather just walk. They might be a good person who would rather drive a Toyota, and that same Toyota will be rejected by a driver who wants a race car. And that's fine. In the end, to each their own. When that person walks away, does the car lose its value? Does the engineering become flawed? No. The rejection was never about the car's quality. It was entirely about the driver's different preferences, or simply lack of capacity. Sometimes they reject you because you cast a light on their flaws. This is the paradox of the avoidant dynamic. The more intimacy you offered, the more real the connection became. The more real the connection, the more their flaws are brought to the surface. In a twisted way, their rejection is actually a validation of your ability to connect. If you were shallow, distant, and didn't require emotional depth, they probably would have stuck around longer. It would have been safe for them. But maybe because you brought love, needs, and vulnerability to the table, you triggered their fears. They didn't choose to leave you. They chose to leave that type of intimacy because they don't have the tools to navigate it. You have to separate the who from the what. They rejected the relationship. They rejected the obligation. They rejected the intimacy. Why? Because that's not their cup of tea. So it's not personal. And even if it's personal, their rejection doesn't say anything about your worth and liability, because there's plenty of fish in the sea. We'll discuss this idea in depth in Lesson 7. Now let's go deeper into the not being chosen wound. There is a specific kind of pain in feeling like you are disposable. They might have moved on quickly, or they might seem perfectly fine while you are falling apart. This makes your ego feel small. It makes you feel insignificant. But let's look at what being chosen by an avoidant actually means. If they chose you, what would that look like? Based on everything you experienced, the hot and cold behavior, the distance, the emotional starvation, what exactly are you begging to be chosen for? Are you hoping to be chosen for a position where your needs are ignored? Are you hoping to be selected for a life where you are constantly lonely in the same room as your partner? You're hoping for someone with a limited capacity for intimacy to be with you. And I'm not saying this to judge avoidance or to say they're bad people. Your ego wants to be chosen just for the sake of winning. It wants the validation of them saying, "Yes, I want you." But deep down, you know that being chosen by someone who cannot show up for you is a curse, not a prize. Sometimes rejection is divine protection. Sometimes not being chosen is the universe intervening because you weren't strong enough to walk away on your own. You were so committed to fixing them and proving your worth that you would have stayed in that starvation cycle for years. The rejection forced you out. It hurt like hell, yes, but it closed that door. Keep it closed. So how do we heal this? How do we stop the obsessive thoughts? You have to stop waiting for their validation to determine your value. You are waiting for the person who broke you to come back and put you back together. You are waiting for the person who dropped the vase to come back and glue it, thinking that if they fix it, then you are whole again. They can't fix it. They don't have the glue. You have to begin the practice of radical acceptance. Radical acceptance means looking in the mirror and saying, "They did not choose me, and that is okay." It means accepting that you can be the juiciest, sweetest peach in the world, and there will still be people who just don't like peaches. After that, you need to grieve the potential. That's what hurts the most. Not losing who they were, but losing who you thought they could be. You are grieving a fantasy. You are grieving the version of them that existed in the first 2 months, or the version of them you saw glimpses of when they were vulnerable. But you have to accept the reality of who they are now. A person who walked away, regardless of the reason. Here is your homework. Here is how you shift the energy. Every time you feel that sting of rejection, every time your brain says, "They didn't want me," I want you to interrupt that thought and change what that sentence means. It has nothing to do with your worth. Maybe you were just standing in front of the wrong door, knocking on a house that nobody lives in, wondering why nobody answered. And it's time to walk away from that door. There are doors that will open wide for you. There are people who have the capacity to meet you where you are. But to find them, you have to stop banging on the door that is nailed shut. So, do the things you stopped doing while you were chasing them. Validate your own feelings. Speak kindly to the part of you that feels small. Own your mistakes and fix them without beating yourself up. Let it hurt. Let it sting. And then let it go. You are worth more than a half-hearted maybe. You are worth a definitive, enthusiastic yes. Let that be your goal. I'll see you in the next lesson. Take a deep breath for me. Seriously. Inhale and let it all the way out. Because today we're going to have the conversation that you probably don't want to have. We've talked about your ex. We've talked about their avoidant patterns, their deactivation strategies, and why they pulled away. We've validated your pain, and that was necessary. But now, I need you to do something difficult. I need you to look away from them and look at the timeline of your own life. I want you to ask yourself a question, and I need you to answer it with brutal honesty. Is this the first time you've been here? Is this the first time you've fallen for someone who was emotionally slightly out of reach? Is this the first time you found yourself begging for the bare minimum? Is this the first time you felt that specific, anxious buzz of trying to earn someone's love? If the answer is yes, this was a complete anomaly, usually I date incredibly secure, present people, then you can take a breather, but still watch this lesson because you'll learn something or two. And for most of you watching this, if you are really honest, the answer is no. You might realize that your college boyfriend was like this, or that situationship 3 years ago, or maybe even your very first love. If there is a pattern, we have to stop calling it bad luck or fate. As Jung says, until you stop calling the subconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. We have to stop saying, "I just attract broken people." When the same thing happens 3, 4, or 5 times, it's not an accident. It's a sign that something needs healing within you. And that's what we want to unpack in this video. Let's start with the why. Why do we do this? Why, especially if we have an anxious attachment style, do we keep choosing people who cannot meet our needs? It seems illogical. If you are starving, Why would you keep walking into a restaurant that doesn't serve food? The answer lies in your nervous system and your definition of home. For many of us, we confuse chemistry with anxiety. Think back to when you first met this avoidant partner. Did you feel a spark? Was it electric? Did it feel like, oh, finally, someone I really click with? In the attachment world, we have a saying: if it feels like a spark, it might actually be a recognition of trauma. Your nervous system is designed to seek out what is familiar, not necessarily what is good for you. If in your childhood, love was something you had to chase, if your parents were inconsistent, critical, or emotionally distant, then stable love feels boring to you. It feels flat. It feels like there's no chemistry. When you meet a secure person, someone who calls when they say they will, who texts back, who is open about their feelings, your subconscious goes, meh, no spark here. But when you meet an avoidant, someone who is a little mysterious, a little hard to pin down, a little hot and cold, your subconscious lights up like a Christmas tree. It says, aha, I know this game. I know how to play this. First of all, it's familiar. Second, and this is important, you are subconsciously trying to resolve your childhood wounds by reenacting them with a new person. You are hoping that this time, if you just love hard enough, if you are just perfect enough, you can make the emotionally unavailable person available. You are trying to get the parent to finally pick you up and hold you. This is what Freud called repetition compulsion. We repeat the trauma in an attempt to master it. But the tragedy is you can't master it. You just re-traumatize yourself. Third, the project partner. This is extremely important, so hear me out. If you look at your history, you might find that you don't actually fall in love with people as they are. You fall in love with their potential. That's not entirely a bad thing, because we believe in the potential of those we love and help them reach it. But when you fall in love with someone's potential and make it your job to reach it, to earn their love, that's a project partner. Avoidants are often great at the beginning. They are charming, they are intense because their fears haven't kicked in yet, and they show you a glimpse of a deep, beautiful soul, which is probably real. And then the walls go up. A secure person would hit that wall, realize the connection is gone, feel sad, and eventually walk away. But you see the wall as a challenge. You see it as a construction site. You think, I know they are hurting. I know they have trauma. If I can just love them through it, they will become that person I saw in the beginning. Again, this whole cycle feels familiar to you, and you subconsciously recreate it to try to get a different outcome this time, and thus heal that wounded inner child inside you. On the other hand, this cycle is a distraction from your own pain and wounds. As long as you are focused on fixing them, on analyzing their behavior, on trying to crack their code, you don't have to look at your own pain. You don't have to look at the fact that you feel unworthy of love unless you are working for it. The cycle reinforces the idea that love is something you earn through suffering. For the avoidance, it reinforces the idea that love is suffering. Secure people do not link suffering with love at all. So, if you are recognizing yourself in this, if your stomach is dropping right now, that is actually good news. It means we diagnosed the correct problem. So how do we break the cycle? How do we stop the ride? To be honest, you might need to go to therapy to address it. But in the rest of this video, I'll give you quick tips that can help you do that. First, you have to grieve the high. This is the hardest part of recovery. You have to accept that a healthy relationship is not going to give you the same dopamine hits that a toxic one does. When you are with an avoidant, you are on a roller coaster. The lows are terrified anxiety, but the highs, when they finally text back, when they finally show affection, are euphoric. That is intermittent reinforcement. It's the same psychological mechanism that makes gambling addictive. Healthy love is not a roller coaster. It is a slow, steady river. It is consistent. And to a nervous system that is used to chaos, consistency feels like boredom. You have to be willing to be bored. You have to be willing to sit with a nice, kind person and not feel the electric zap of anxiety, and trust that connection builds slowly. You have to detox from the chaos. Second, you have to stop being the fixer. Make a vow to yourself right now. I am retired from the potential business. From this day forward, you assess people based on who they are in this moment, not who they could be with 5 years of therapy and your unconditional love. If they are emotionally unavailable today, they are emotionally unavailable. Period. It is not your job to pry their heart open. It is not your job to teach them how to feel. Yes, you might feel sad and empathize with them, but you leave and don't try to change them. When you stop trying to fix others, you are left with all that energy, and you have to pour it into the only person you can actually fix, yourself. And when you do that, you'll be the right partner for the right person. To close this lesson, I want to remind you of a few things. The cycle stops when you decide that you are too valuable to be an option. The cycle stops when you realize that chemistry without consistency is just a warning sign. The next time you meet someone and they pull away and your anxiety screams at you to chase them, I want you to do the opposite. I want you to lean back. I want you to look at that familiar feeling of panic and say, I recognize you. You are my old pattern, and I don't have to live here anymore. I know saying a sentence like this won't be the ultimate solution, but it helps. With time and effort, you can interrupt the thought patterns and introduce a new one. It is scary to break the cycle. It means walking into the unknown. It means rejecting the exciting, unavailable people and working on being the right partner for the right person. But I promise you, the safety you build within yourself is worth infinitely more than the scraps of affection you've been fighting for. You have been playing a game you cannot win, and it's time to stop playing. I'll see you in the next lesson. Hi, and welcome back. We'll have another hard conversation today. You cannot truly get over your avoidant without doing this step, which is a complete detox. Here's what I mean by that. So many people talk about doing no contact, but they're talking about it as if it's a period and part of the relationship. And they subtly use it as a manipulation tactic to make their ex miss them or realize their worth. They think that if they just stayed far enough from their ex would miss them and realize what they lost. And then they wait patiently and tell themselves that they are doing no contact, as if it's a temporary thing after which the relationship will resume. That's a delusion. I'll be straightforward with you and call it what it is because I want to help you, and this disillusion will keep you stuck, looking back instead of moving on. The real no contact is when you want to literally detox from your ex and stop looking back. And this is what we're going to discuss in this lesson. When you are with an avoidant partner, you are actually in a cycle of intermittent reinforcement. This fancy term is from behavioral psychology, and it's really simple. It's the same mechanism that makes gambling addicting. If you pull a lever on a slot machine and win every time, you get bored. If you never win, you walk away. But if you win sometimes, unpredictably and randomly, your brain releases a massive amount of dopamine in anticipation of that reward. Your partner was a slot machine. They gave you affection, then they pulled away. They gave you a glimmer of a future, then they went cold. This creates a kind of a chemical dependency in your brain that is stronger than any other relationship. So when they leave, or even when you finally walk away, your brain goes into panic mode. First, it lost a source of pleasure. Second, it got used to the idea that pain is temporary, so this separation must be temporary. So it is screaming for that dopamine hit. It is scanning for the reward. This is why you check their social media. This is why you reread old texts from 6 months ago when things were good. This is why you ask mutual friends about them. You get a small hit of dopamine every time you do that and feel a little more connected to them. But by doing that, you are literally keeping the wound fresh. You are picking the scab, watching it bleed, and wondering why it hasn't scarred over yet. And we need to stop that. But I don't blame you for doing these things. That's because of one of the biggest lies in the modern dating advice industry. There is a whole corner of the internet telling you to go no contact so that your avoidant ex will feel your absence, panic, and come running back. They sell it as a strategy. Silence makes them miss you. Ignorance breeds obsession. I need you to hear me clearly. If you are doing no contact to get them back, you are not actually in no contact. You are just waiting. You've just moved the waiting room from their living room to your bedroom. Physically, you are talking to them, but energetically, mentally, you are obsessing. You are checking your phone every 45 minutes. You are posting thirst traps or cryptic quotes on your story, specifically hoping they see it. That is not detox. That is manipulation. As long as your motive is to influence their behavior, your focus is still on them. You are still an appendage of their life. You are still optimizing yourself for their consumption. And because your focus is on them, your brain cannot begin the work of pruning the neural pathways that are causing you pain. You cannot heal from the person who broke you while you are actively trying to manipulate them into fixing you. So let's look at the science of what needs to happen. Your brain is plastic. It changes based on what you focus on. There is a rule in neuroscience. Neurons that fire together, wire together. For the last however many months or years, you have built a superhighway in your brain dedicated to this person, predicting their moods, analyzing their silence, walking on eggshells. That highway is thick, paved, and fully lit. When you go into true no contact, which means no texting, no calling, no stalking socials, no asking friends about them, you stop sending traffic down that highway. At first, it feels unnatural. It feels dangerous. Your amygdala, the fear center, will freak out because to the primal brain, separation from an attachment figure equals death. So, you may feel physically ill. You might not be able to sleep at night or have nightmares. You might get the shakes. You will feel a profound, hollow emptiness. This is the detox. It's not pretty, but it's a part of the process. Some people call these things withdrawal symptoms, and that can be accurate if you don't give in. If you stop the traffic on that highway, they eventually go away and you heal. The obsession starts to fade. The physical urge to check their location dies down. The dopamine cravings level out. You start to get your baseline back. But this only happens if you stop looking in the rearview mirror. So, practically, what does this look like? It means closing the door, not leaving it cracked open just in case. When you keep the door cracked, when you say, I'll keep them on Instagram just to be polite, or I won't block them because I don't want them to think I'm angry, you are prioritizing their perception of you over your own mental health. You are worried about what the person who hurt you thinks about your healing process. Think about how backward that is. You have to be ruthless with your environment. You cannot rely on willpower. Willpower is a finite resource, and when you are grieving, your tank is empty. You have to rely on systems. Delete the number. If you can't delete it, write it on a piece of paper. Give it to a friend to put in a safe, and delete it from your phone. Mute and restrict, or better yet, block. Not out of malice, not to teach them a lesson, but to create a sanctuary where their energy cannot touch you. Stick to it for at least 30 days, and you'll start healing and seeing them differently. Here is the beautiful part. Let me use a metaphor to describe it. When you stop looking in the rearview mirror, you are forced to look through the windshield. And at first, that view is terrifying because the passenger seat is empty. The road ahead looks lonely. But then you realize something. You are driving the car. For a long time, you were a passenger in your own life, reacting to their turns, their stops, their speed. You were bracing for impact every day. When you commit to the detox, you take the wheel back. You start to realize that the silence is a space for you to figure out who you are when you aren't frantically trying to earn someone's love. This isn't about them coming back. Let them go. Do not hate them. Do not love them. The opposite of love is not hatred, it's indifference. Let them deal with their own avoidance, their own cycles, their own demons. That is not your job anymore. You have retired from the position of the fixer. Your job now is to rewire, to endure the withdrawal until the fog lifts. And I promise you, it does lift. One day you will wake up and you won't reach for your phone to check if they've seen your story. You won't wonder who they are with. You will just get up, make your coffee, and realize you haven't thought about them yet. That is the moment the highway is dismantled. That is the moment you are free. But to get there, you have to keep your eyes forward. Stop checking the mirror. There is nothing back there for you but ghosts and lessons you've already learned. Eyes front. Let's drive. See you in the next lesson. Hello and welcome back. In this lesson, we'll cover a mentality that secure people have, and it makes their love life easier. This mentality can be summarized in one phrase, and it will probably make you want to throw your phone across the room right now. There are plenty of fish in the sea. When you are deep in the trenches of grieving an avoidant partner, someone you fought for, someone you tried to decode for months or years, that phrase feels incredibly dismissive. It feels like a slap in the face. It feels like people just don't get it. You aren't looking for a fish. You are looking for that fish. You're thinking about the specific way they laughed, the moments of intense chemistry, the glimmer of potential you saw in them that nobody else did. But I want to ask you to pause and sit with me for a moment. Because while that phrase is a cliche, the psychological principle behind it is actually the dividing line between anxious attachment and secure attachment. This lesson isn't about telling you to just get over it and get back on dating apps. This lesson is about something much deeper. It is about shifting you from a scarcity mindset, which is where the anxious attachment system lives, to an abundance mindset, which is where secure love is built. Let's be honest about what is happening in your brain right now. When we are anxiously attached, or when we have been activated by an avoidant dynamic, we develop what psychologists call tunnel vision. Your attachment system is a survival mechanism. When it senses a threat, like the withdrawal or loss of your partner, it screams that you are in danger. In our evolutionary past, being left alone meant death. So, your brain hyper-focuses on the source of safety, the partner. Even if that partner wasn't actually safe, even if they were cold or distant, your brain latched onto them as the only source of survival. This creates a terrifying illusion. It tricks you into believing that connection is a rare, non-renewable resource. You feel like you found the last bottle of water in the desert, and now that it's gone, you are going to die of thirst. You think, I will never find someone I have this much chemistry with again, or nobody else will understand me like they did. That is the scarcity mindset. It tells you that love is rare, that you are lucky to get any scraps of it, and that losing this specific person is a tragedy you can't recover from. Now, let's look at how a securely attached person views this. Secure people do not have this tunnel vision. When a secure person goes through a breakup, they hurt, they grieve, they cry, but they do not panic. And the reason they don't panic is that they fundamentally believe in the plenty of fish reality. This isn't arrogance, it's simple data analysis. A secure person operates from the belief that they are lovable and that there are millions of people on this planet. They know that compatibility is not a once-in-a-lifetime lightning strike. It is a common occurrence. They know that out of the billions of humans on Earth, there are enough people who would not only be attracted to them, but would be thrilled to meet their emotional needs. Because of this belief, the secure person doesn't hold on to a bad investment. Think about it like this. If you truly believed, in your bones, that you could walk out your door tomorrow and meet someone kind, attractive, and consistent, would you be agonizing over your avoidant ex right now? Probably not. You are agonizing because a part of you fears that the ex was the best you could do. So, how do we bridge this gap? How do we move from that panic of scarcity to the calm of abundance? We have to dismantle the pedestal you've put them on. Often, the scarcity you feel is actually just an addiction to the highs and lows. As we said, relationships with avoidance are characterized by intermittent reinforcement. They pull away, you get anxious. They come back a little bit, you get a massive hit of dopamine. That roller coaster creates a chemical bond that feels like intensity. You might be confusing anxiety with love. You might be confusing the relief of them texting you back with actual connection. A secure person looks at that dynamic and says, "That's not special. That's actually stressful." Secure people view dating differently than anxious people. An anxious person views dating as an audition. You are walking into the room hoping they pick you, hoping you are good enough to make them stay. When you view it as an audition, rejection feels like a verdict on your worth. Secure people view dating as an interview where they are the hiring manager. When a secure person meets someone who is inconsistent, cold, or emotionally unavailable, they don't think, "Oh no, I need to try harder to win them over." They think, "Oh, this candidate isn't qualified for the position of being my partner." They say, "Next." That is the power of the abundance mindset. It's the ability to say next without fear. Now, you need to start looking at the math. I want you to really think about the qualities you need: kindness, consistency, presence, the ability to handle conflict without running away. Now let's look at your ex. Do you believe your ex actually possessed these traits? Do you honestly believe your ex is the only person on earth who possesses the capacity to be attractive and interesting? Or is it possible that your ex was actually lacking the most important traits, consistency and safety, and that there are people out there who have the charm and the safety? Absolutely yes. If they are not that special to begin with, because they lack the basic safety traits, then it means they are not the only people on earth who will have those traits. Some of you might argue that not everyone has the privilege of being attractive to that many people. And this is one of the things we'll cover in the next lesson. Now let's talk about the final part of this mentality. Consistency is a sexy trait. We are often taught that playing hard to get is attractive, or that the brooding, mysterious, distant partner is the prize. That is a lie your trauma tells you. For a secure person, unavailability is a turnoff. It's boring. It's frustrating. If a secure person senses avoidance, they lose interest. They turn their ship around and head back out to sea to find a fish that actually wants to be caught. I want you to practice this mental shift this week. Every time you catch yourself thinking, "I'll never find anyone like them," I want you to correct the sentence. Change it to, "Exactly. That's the point. I want to find someone who will treat me better than that. And I'll work on being the right partner for such a person." There is a world full of people who want the same things you do. There are people who are tired of games. There are people who want to build a home, who want to talk about feelings, who want to come closer when things get hard, not run away. But you will never meet them if you are staring at the closed door of your past. You are standing on the shore, weeping over one fish that swam away, while an entire ocean of opportunity is crashing at your ankles. But here's a caveat. The plenty of fish mentality is not about jumping into a new relationship tomorrow. It is about safety. It is about the safety of knowing that you are not destitute. You are not an emotional beggar. You are a person with a massive capacity for love, and that is a high-value commodity. When you truly realize that your love is a gift, you stop trying to force it on people who won't receive it. You save it for the people who can reciprocate it. The abundance is real. The scarcity is a lie told by your anxiety. Trust the ocean. Trust yourself. And realize that letting go of the avoidant isn't a loss. It's simply making space for the person who is actually looking for you. See you in the final lesson. We have spent a significant amount of time in this course looking in the rearview mirror. We've dissected the pain. We've validated the confusion. We've unpacked the chaotic dynamics of the anxious avoidant trap. And that work was necessary because you cannot heal what you do not understand. But today, we are going to stop looking back. Today, we want to look at the road ahead. This lesson is extremely important for you if dating avoidance or emotionally unavailable people is a pattern for you. If you're fairly secure and this is your first avoidant partner, you'll still find this lesson valuable because it will help you get back on track and remember who you really are. You are here because you don't just want to get over your ex. You want to ensure that the next time you fall in love, it doesn't look like a crime scene. You want a relationship that feeds you rather than one that starves you. But here's the catch, and it's the hardest pill to swallow in recovery. You cannot attract a different kind of partner until you become a different kind of person. We call this designing the future, but really, it's about breaking the law of resonance that kept you stuck. What does that mean? It's simple. We attract what feels familiar, not necessarily what is good for us. So if we want to change who walks through your door next, we have to renovate the house. Let's start with part one, the inventory of the future. I want you to think about the traits you want in a future partner. And I'm not talking about the superficial list, tall, successful, funny, likes to travel. That list is easy, and frankly, that list is dangerous. You can find an avoidant person who checks every single one of those boxes. They can be sexy, funny, and charming, and they will still destroy your nervous system. We need to make an attachment list. When you have been with an avoidant partner, especially if you've been with them long enough, your sense of what's normal gets affected. You might become accustomed to fighting for crumbs of affection. You might even mistake anxiety for chemistry. When your stomach drops and you're checking your phone every 3 minutes, you think that's passion. And I believe, by now, you know why that's not passion. This blurs your vision, and we need to set that straight first. So, what are the traits you actually need? First thing first, you need consistency. You want someone whose behavior on Tuesday matches their behavior on Saturday. You also need attunement, someone who notices when your mood shifts and asks, "Hey, are you okay?" rather than pulling away because your emotions feel like a burden to them. Someone who can listen to you without getting defensive and triggered, which drives us to the next point. You are also looking for the ability to repair. This is the holy grail. In your last relationship, a conflict likely led to silence, distancing, or stonewalling. In a healthy future, you want a partner who views conflict as a bridge, not a wall. Someone who stays in the room to fix it. Write these down. Consistency, attunement, the ability to repair. And let's move on to the next part of this lesson where we talk about you. Now, let's pivot to the harder part of this conversation. This is where I need you to be brave with me. We have to talk about the mirror strategy. There is a concept in psychology that suggests we don't attract what we want, we attract what we are. And I don't mean that if you are kind, you attract kindness. I mean that your attachment style sends out a signal that pulls in its reciprocal. If you are operating from an anxious attachment style, if you are a chaser, you will inevitably attract a runner. It's physics. A runner needs someone to chase them to validate their need for independence. A chaser needs someone to run to validate their core belief that they will always be abandoned. If you want a secure partner, someone steady, warm, and available, you have to ask yourself, would a securely attached person be attracted to the version of me that exists right now? This is not about shaming you. It is actually about empowering you. If you want a king or a queen, you need to be a king or queen. So, what traits do you need to develop to attract this new, healthy partner? We'll cover 3 essential traits you need to develop. Trait number 1, the ability to self-soothe. Secure people are not looking for a project. They are looking for a partner. In your relationship with your avoidant ex, you likely relied on them to regulate your emotions. When they were close, you felt safe. When they pulled away, you fell apart. To attract a secure partner, you must learn to hold your own anxiety without handing it to someone else to fix. When you feel that panic rising, can you sit with it? Can you breathe through it? Can you be your own anchor? When you possess your own emotional stability, you become magnetic to other stable people. Now, this doesn't mean your partner is not going to soothe you. In fact, a secure person will co-regulate with you sometimes and help you regulate on your own. The idea is that self-regulation is a crucial skill, even if you have someone you can regulate with. Trait number 2. Moving from fixing to existing. Be honest with me. Did you love your ex, or did you love their potential? Did you love who they were, or did you love the project of saving them? Many of us who love avoidance are fixers. We derive our self-worth from being the one who understands them, the one who can crack the code, the one who can love them enough to heal them. Here is why that's a problem. A healthy, secure partner does not need fixing. So, if your entire identity is built around being a helper or a savior, you will find a secure partner boring. You will sit across from them at dinner, and there will be no drama to manage, no hidden trauma to excavate, no emotional distance to bridge, and you might feel useless. You might think, where is the spark? To attract the right partner, you have to kill the part of you that needs to be needed. You have to learn to enjoy peace. You have to learn that love isn't a job, it's just being. You need to develop an identity that exists outside of your utility to someone else. This doesn't mean you won't be useful to your new partner. You'll still need to serve and help them, but you have to be careful not to fuel your need to be needed. Like, it's okay if they don't want to be helped or saved. You can still love them and be loved by them. Trait number 3. Boundaries as self-respect, not manipulation. With your avoidant ex, you might have used boundaries as a way to get a reaction. If you don't do this, I'm leaving. It was a protest behavior, a cry for attention. To attract a healthy partner, you need to develop real boundaries. This means knowing what you will and will not accept, and quietly removing yourself from situations that violate those standards. A secure partner respects boundaries, but they can only respect them if you have them. If you are porous, if you are a doormat, if you adapt your personality to fit whoever you are dating, a secure person will sense that lack of self. They want to date you, not a reflection of themselves. They want someone who has their own life, their own opinions, and their own center of gravity. You're lucky because this bundle of courses you purchased contains a whole course about boundaries with avoidance. Check it out because you need to develop the skill of setting boundaries even when you're no longer with your avoidant. I want to leave you with a final thought on the boredom. When you start doing this work, when you start becoming your own anchor, letting go of the need to fix, and setting real boundaries, your dating life is going to change. You might go on a date with someone healthy, and it will feel different. It won't feel like a roller coaster. It won't feel like a puzzle you need to solve. It might feel quiet. It might feel slow. Do not mistake that quietness for a lack of chemistry. That quietness is what safety feels like. That is the feeling of your nervous system finally being allowed to rest. Your ex kept you on your toes. Your future partner, the one you are designing right now, will help you keep your feet on the ground. This week, I want you to focus less on finding the right person and more on becoming the person who is ready to receive them. Build your life, soothe your heart, create a world so full and rich that a partner is simply a beautiful addition to it, not the missing piece that holds it all together. You are the architect. Go build something beautiful. I'm rooting for you.